Welcome back to another video, guys. My name is Daniel, this is TechFTN, and this is the new 2021 M1 iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Let's get it unboxed. So, we got the new M1 2021 iPad Pro 12.9 inch. We got a couple accessories here. Let's go ahead and open up the iPad Pro first. Pull our little pull tab, and let's go ahead and lift the box up. There's nothing blocking it. Alright, let's just lift this out. So I got the space gray variant. Let's lift this up. Man, it just looks so good. So if you don't know, this I was really excited for. I've been waiting a long time to pick it up. I was holding out because of the new display, which is on this one. So let's just put this here for now real quick. Let's see what else comes in the box. Cable and power brick. It's USB-C to USB-C, but this is what I was excited about. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Ooh, man, it just looks so. Well, it's powering up real quick. Let's go ahead and open up the keyboard and pencil. So let's do the Magic Keyboard next. Also got another pull tab. It's got a little bit of paperwork inside. No stickers in that one, but that's okay. It's just an accessory, not a main product. Let's drop this in there. Ooh, that's solid. Very solid. Last but not least, designed by Apple in California. Oh. In here. But this. I got it engraved because why not? It's my first one. And that's it. That's the unboxing, guys. So we'll come back to this in a couple days once I get it all set up and get it tested out, test out a few things, make sure it's all going. It's got some great features and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping it really ups my game here. But in the meantime, close this up. See you in a few days. So I've been using the 2021 M1 iPad Pro for about a week now, and as a first-time user, I have some thoughts. First off, the display. That's the biggest change from last year to this year, or from the last two generations to this generation. It's a really good display, especially in HDR mode, HDR content. You can find content all over YouTube. Netflix has some, other stuff has HDR content, but when it's playing HDR content, it is a beautiful display. There is a bit of a blooming problem, which if you don't know, just on a really dark screen, the light kind of shines through the back on bright spaces, like if you have white text on a black background, if you use dark mode a lot. To me, it is noticeable. Everyone else's reaction, just in my opinion, it seems to be an over-exaggeration. Just as a first-time user, yeah, it happens, I see it. I prefer the blacks though, and I can handle the bit of blooming that happens. It's not that big a deal to me. Secondly, the Thunderbolt port. You can see that right here. The Thunderbolt port. Really cool technology, not fully utilized yet. It's really underutilized at the moment. I think just give it a couple months and wait to see if any third-party companies come up with any accessories that can utilize that Thunderbolt port. Now that it's on there, they can kind of get an idea of how to use it, how they can apply it. Yes, you can use other Thunderbolt drives, but in reality, it's just an unutilized feature at the moment. But in the next coming months, there should be a lot more accessories and things just coming out that'll be able to utilize it better. Speaking of utilization, though, now we come to the biggest change and kind of the feature, in my opinion, that just a lot of people aren't understanding right now. and that's the M1 processor. So briefly, the M1 chip, it's the same chip that's in the newer Macs, the iMac, for example, and it's Apple's first foray into their silicon. Well, not first foray. I mean, they have their iPhone chips, the A series chips that they've been developing, but this is for their computer class hardware, their laptop class hardware they've been developing that is just blowing Intel's chips out of the water. Intel should rightfully be scared, but bringing the M1 chip to the iPad kind of was a feature not many people were expecting, and kind of begs the question of why. Why? I mean, the A series processors in the last 2 generations of iPad Pros were incredible. I mean, they still are. I haven't personally used them, but they are incredible, and no shortage of videos will you find on YouTube that all claiming to be the same thing. Everyone's wondering why. And me too, but there's a key thing that you hear in nearly every video, if not every video, that I think people are kind of disregarding the M1 chip, and I think that's the wrong mentality to have. Let me explain. Apple has blurred the lines between their desktop chip and their mobile processor unit chip. Think about it. Any video, if you've watched any other video on the iPad Pros, everyone mentions, or most videos mention, how the M1 is a desktop class processor. And it is, obviously. It kind of begs the question, what are they doing? I don't think seeing the M1 chip as a desktop class architecture, chip architecture, is the right mentality to have towards it. I think what Apple's done has, like I said before, blurred the lines between what the separation between desktop class hardware, or well, desktop class processor anyway, and a mobile class processor. They've created almost, or maybe not created is the wrong word, but they've developed a system, hardware-wise anyway, that utilizes the same chip architecture and can now further software-wise optimize it. For example, software. A lot of people with the M1 chip in the iPad Pro want to see macOS run on iPad, but I don't believe that's the right step, and I don't believe Apple's going to do that. They've come out themselves and said the M1 MacBook Air, MacBook notebooks aren't going anywhere. For them to come out and say that, and on one of their most popular devices also, it would be kind of odd to do so. It would be giving up a lot of market share in that regard. So I don't think that Apple wants to merge macOS into the iPad. macOS isn't optimized for that, and iPadOS is still very limiting in regards to the power, raw power, that the M1 chip and the iPad Pro itself can produce. I mean, even the A series, A12 series processors that were in the previous 2 generations from 3 years ago now, iPadOS still can't take full advantage. So I do think there's a software problem, but I don't think that bringing desktop software onto this mobile unit is the right idea. I don't think that's where they're going with it. Further, and maybe this is just the optimist in me, I mean, when it comes to technology, I tend to be a pretty big optimist, but I don't, right now I agree that the iPad is still just not, even the iPad Pro is still just an iPad, and its limiting factor is its software. And I think Apple's quite aware of that too. And the iPad, literally, with each new generation, isn't competing against anyone else. There's no one else nearly close enough that could challenge the iPad for what it is. What it can do, no one's really been sure yet. And I mean, Apple's developed iPadOS, which I think is incredible. That's the best way, that was the best thing they could have done for it at the time. And they need to continue developing that. But like I said before, when it comes to software, I don't think Apple should be blending bringing Mac OS into the iPad space. It's a completely different thing. What they should do is maybe further develop iPadOS, or later create a kind of merged software system that can take functions and features of macOS that people love and functions and features of iPadOS that are useful and touch optimized, because again, it's an iPad, it's touch optimized, and kind of implement them in a way that could push the boundaries of computing to the next level. It kind of glimpses a future of like those futuristic sci-fi shows where you see them walking around with computers in their hand. They're basically walking around with tablets. But I think tablets, and more specifically mobile computing units, are what the future is moving towards to. And I think the iPad, whether or not Apple intended it to be, is kind of like that next step. It's carrying what we now consider desktop class chip architecture in a mobile processing unit. I mean, this device has the same kind of features that you would find on a full-fledged desktop or laptop. And it's all optimized for this form factor. And maybe that's the kind of mentality we should have going forward. A vision of what can we do with this that's different from a laptop, because many of the functions and features are purely software based. In the 10 years that the iPad has been around, there's never really been a clear vision of what it was supposed to be. And even today, there probably still isn't. But I think maybe with WWDC next week, that we're on the cusp of where we could go with a mobile computing device. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching the quick unboxing and my thoughts on what the iPad Pro in 2021 is maybe alluding to in the future. If you have any other different thoughts, be sure to share them down below in the comments. If you like this video, hit that like button, that's for you. Subscribe if you haven't, it'd be really helping me out, guys. And if you like this kind of content, let me know. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.